What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Tap. My name is Michael, and this is John, and we are a fantasy football podcast. But we're doing a little bit differently today. We have got a different show. We're going to be talking about some hot topics around the NFL, and we will bring up some of their fantasy impacts and things like that. But it's going to be a good show. John, are you excited?
Absolutely. This is my favorite type of topics to talk with you. Free hand, open conversation, arguments.
Yeah, you just missed a nice 20-minute argument between John and I.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So hopefully we get into another argument. So and you guys are here to watch and see.
Let's keep it cordial.
I know.
Fuck that.
Fuck that. Fuck you, John.
Yeah. So let's talk about what's going on in the NFL. Obviously, biggest news in the NFL right now.
Deshaun Watson have signed a kicker.
Is Deshaun Watson going to be a Miami Dolphin by the end of the week?
No,
we don't want that, obviously. But what do you
by November 9th? Yeah. No, I don't think
dude,
so.
I really don't want him to come here. I really don't.
I really don't either. I do think, honestly, this is my gut feeling. This is how I think it plays out. I think it's everybody. It's up until the deadline. Everybody, the Houston Chronicle and just Houston in general are pushing these rumors. I think there is a trade on the table. I wish I had the article. I was trying to look for it before. I was reading an article earlier. Trade is on the table. It's actually been they've agreed upon terms supposedly.
Yeah, but it's pending
Dolphins
investigation.
Yes, exactly. It's pending legal whatever. Which it's not going to get cleared up in a week. There's no way in heck.
Obviously not.
So this is how I feel about it. This is what I think is going to happen no matter what team he goes to. It's not going to be until the offseason. I think he gets traded in the offseason further down the road. And it's going to be, I don't see it happening before or on November 9th.
I think the only way it does happen before then is if it's a team that's in a desperate need for a quarterback, not a team that's like Miami, where we still have a project to work on that may or may not be working. But I don't know, man. I just think that any team that's going to be taking the shot on him, as soon as someone announces that he is being traded somewhere, that is when the entire case is going to break open publicly, and we're going to start hearing a lot more about it, and things are going to get leaked and everything else, because the people that the case that is open, obviously they don't want to see him be playing this year. And right. It's almost a slap in the face if he gets traded to another team to get traded or to play and is starting at some capacity. I think at that point we see him get into the NFL commissioner's exempt list. And at that point, that team is taking an absolute loss with the amount of trade capital they have to give up.
And I think that's also where it comes down to is I don't think, in my opinion, and I may be totally off on this, I don't think the NFL would let a team trade for him that amount of picks without a disclosure. And as of right now, Roger Goodell said that they have not put him on the exempt list because there is not enough. They do not believe there is enough to do so, legal evidence. So I kind of just think that if they do trade him, the NFL kind of has to not sign off on it, since it's such a weird and never really seen before situation. I think they're gonna let both parties know and disclose to both parties they have to, in my opinion. I think.
I don't know. I don't think you have to. I mean, I think Goodell's done his part in letting the league know, like, hey, we don't know. We still have no idea what's going to happen. There are your cards. Play them how you need to. Now, let's say he does get traded. Let's say before the trade deadline, we get news that Deshaun Watson's being traded. If it's not Miami, what other teams are you thinking?
Denver, Carolina, Washington.
Oh, you're not on the Heineke train?
No, Heineke's not on the Heineke train anymore.
Yeah, I could see it.
I mean, he already said he doesn't want to go to the Eagles. Now, I think as he gets closer to the deadline, he's like, damn, I, kind of will take anywhere but here. He might go to the Eagles. I think the Eagles, even with him, I think they have a winning record, maybe make the playoffs, but I don't think they do anything significant. Whereas I do think the Panthers and I do think the Denver Broncos, especially, even with all the injuries they're going through, are about a quarterback away.
There's a couple teams. There's a couple teams that are going to be very, very needy here in the future. So, looking at a map right now, it does seem that Philadelphia ranks about 20th in the 20s as far as massage parlors per square mile.
There you go.
While South Beach, Miami is in the top 5 cities. So,
of course.
Obviously, we understand Mr. Watson is looking to come to Miami. It's been reported multiple times that this is his number one destination. So let's talk about it the other way.
What's the number one? I'm kind of interested in that.
Number one. Hold up. I just closed it out because I thought we were done with this, Mike.
No, man.
I'll pull it back up. So
I did not expect you to go there. So that's pretty interesting.
So while I pull this back up, let's talk about the other half of it. If Watson does come to Miami, it's got to mean that Tua's not going to be here much longer.
Yeah, he's gone.
Where would you, as a fan of his, want him to go?
Where would I want him to go as a fan? Because I love Tua. I honestly, I don't want Watson to come. I want them to build around Tua correctly, because I think the kid's talented. Everybody's saying he's not. Doesn't watch football. Makes dumb mistakes. I'll get no, we're talking about this. This is a free flowing convo. I get off on tangents when I free flow. I will get back to your question here in a second. Tua reminds me of Carson Wentz. He makes the dumbest throws. You're like, what in the world are you thinking? But then he can make some of the elite throws, the better throws. The decision making, just like Carson Wentz, is questionable all the time.
Trubisky.
No, God, no. Mitch Trubisky is not even in the same tier. I think Mitch Trubisky. I want to talk about that too. Because Matt Nagy, I said it for years, 2 years. Jeez, John, you're getting me off on fucking tangent.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Keep going.
Write down little Mitch Trubisky, Matt Nagy, and Justin Fields on your sheet on the notes. So I remember this because I want to talk about that. I really want to talk about that. I think that Carson Wentz, I'm not saying 2017 MVP Carson Wentz. I'm saying right now Carson Wentz. And I mean, even back then he was making bonehead moves. But he reminds me of that in the fact that his decision making is not always the clearest. And it will come with time that it is, and it does get better. But right now, I think that it will affect, or he reminds me of Carson Wentz. That's maybe not level of skill yet because he's only in his second year. Carson Wentz is in his sixth, but that's the player he reminds me of because of the mistakes and things like that. But the other plays he can make.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to say Mitch Trubisky, is just because of the amount of talent, the amount of time that he had to prove himself. Trubisky obviously came out his first year, made the not his first season, but made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, Trubisky's a Pro Bowl. He's a Nickelodeon MVP. I mean, the guy's he's someone that can show flashes and can look very, very good, but then the mistakes that he makes are just so bad and just so questionable. It really just makes you question them in general. As far as Tua,
I want to talk, and then I'll get back to your original conversation. Where do I want Tua to go as a fan? I said it for a couple years. His 2 years there in Chicago, and we're seeing it with Justin Fields, who is a very good quarterback. Matt Nagy is the issue. Matt Nagy is the issue in Chicago. Mitch Trubisky could be a good quarterback, could be a franchise quarterback. He showed it his first year. Everybody says, "Oh, well, just look." Listen, he showed, yes, he made bad moves, but you know what the head coach did? Instead of coaching him up, in my opinion, I'm not a Chicago fan. I don't really delve into, that stuff, but from watching it on the outside and watching enough of the NFL every weekend, every week, even in the off season, doing, research, especially because of this podcast and things like that. Matt Nagy got into his head. It's exactly what Brian Flores is doing. It is exactly what Brian Flores is doing. And that is going to cause some doubt. So yes, they're going to make mistakes because they're not going to make mistakes because it's just the wrong read or whatever. They're going to make mistakes because they have to prove that they are the starting quarterback, because there is somebody else out there, especially with Miami in this situation. It's a little different than Mitch, but there's somebody else out there that could take your spot. And as far as Matt Nagy and Mitch Trubisky, Matt Nagy just got into Mitch Trubisky's head way too much. He did not, and you shouldn't have to pat it on the back every single time, but you should, correct his mistakes and not put him down. You could see in the body language of Mitch Trubisky, there was no confidence. And that is not because of Mitch Trubisky. That's because of the head coach and making Mitch Trubisky think that he has to make every single play.
Yeah, especially bringing Foles in there and like all that competition. Just you're right. And if just relaying it back to the original conversation, the Watson thing, the proposed trade on the board right now doesn't send Tua anywhere by itself.
No.
What's he supposed to be competing with Watson?
No, he'll go.
He'll get traded somewhere else.
Yeah.
So which places?
I would like to see him go to, and you're sitting right in front of it, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, their young offensive line, they have a very competent coach. Did you see the way he handled the USC rumors today?
No, I didn't actually miss that.
One of the reporters asked him, hey, what is up with you and the USC job? Do you have any interest there if they reached out? He flipped his shit. He was like, would you ever ask Sean Payton this? Would you ever ask Andy Reid this? There is not a booster with a blank check big enough for me to move. I have the best job in the NFL, in professional sports. Why would I even consider going down to collegiate level? And then he's like, and if anybody ever asks me that again, I'm just going to ignore you. So why? And
why can't Flores?
This is Brian Flores needs to be doing. So I want him to go there. He, even through thick and thin, you and I both know Ben Roethlisberger should not be on the field right now. He is holding that team back. I don't think they have a better
part
option.
of the problem.
Yes, I think they have a horrible offensive line.
Yeah, I don't think that even with a quarterback right now that they'd be winning a Super Bowl.
No.
I think that it's just this is a get by year. I think that they're going to do a little unloading in the off. I mean, they lose a lot of starters this offseason. They lose a lot. They're going to have some big cap issues coming up, especially now that they just signed TJ Watt. But I do think that Tua would be a huge fit there because I don't think Ben's coming back next year. They need to find the replacement. It's not going to be Haskins. It's obviously not Mason Rudolph. And there's no reason, there's no talent coming through that draft next season that's blowing anyone's, that's looking like a huge first round grab. So I think that's a great one. What do you think about the Saints? Are you sold on Jameis Winston there?
No, the Saints aren't even sold on him. No, 13, scoring 13 points. Yes. See, the thing is, he needs receivers. He has played with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Mike Evans his whole career, plus Chris Godwin. Mm-hmm. Plus he's had O.J. Howard, very good, and Cameron Brate, competent tight ends. He's playing with Deontay Harris sometimes and Marquez Callaway sometimes. Adam Troutman, a second-year tight end, who we all know it takes time for tight ends to blossom, and come into their own. I still think he can be a good tight end. Mike Thomas, though. And then, of course, you got Alvin Kamara coming out of the back. He has got one weapon. He has got uno weapon. And similarly, I mean, I think I want to judge Jameis when Michael Thomas comes back. That's when I will truly judge Jameis.
That's fair.
He's had good games. He's had bad games, which is expected with that receiver corps, right? In my opinion. I know people will say, well, it's the NFL, but next man up mentality. That's bullshit. All right. I'm sorry, but that is bullshit. When you drop off from guys who wouldn't even start on most other teams, except maybe the Dolphins, because our receivers are always fucking hurt.
So you're talking about Jameis Winston. There's obviously a lot of other teams that are going to be looking for quarterbacks. A lot of teams already went and grabbed quarterbacks this season. I think the only ones that are looking like they were a reasonable pick in the draft so far are Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones. The first and last quarterbacks off the board in the first, out of the top 5.
I said Zach Wilson's a bust.
Yeah.
You don't average 7 seconds in college behind an offensive line and expect that those massive throws that he's trying to make right now in the NFL to change over. That's just unrealistic. But,
How long do you see him as a starter for the Jets?
3 years.
Do you think he finishes his contract there?
No.
Okay.
I think Robert Saleh. I love Robert Saleh. I think he's a good coach, but they just went with the wrong quarterback. In my opinion, and I keep saying that. In my opinion, I think, as weird as it sounds, they should have gone with Mac Jones. Robert Saleh is a great defensive coordinator, good defensive mind. He helped build that San Francisco defense. Why not take a conservative quarterback like Mac Jones and build a rock solid defense?
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. No, I think it's really fair, actually. I think the loss of Becton might have hurt them a lot, being that their offensive line was already pretty terrible as it was. They just lost their only super solid piece. But yeah, I'm not really happy with Wilson so far. I'm not really excited about Trey Lance either. I mean, we've only seen very limited action from him. It seems like they're letting him in just so that he can have some flash plays and some stat plays. Letting him in the red zone to score the touchdown, putting him in there to run the ball on 1st and 10, 1st and 5 because there was an offsides penalty. Like you're giving them chances to look good to make I feel like they're just trying to make themselves look good with that pick.
I think, and they knew this, he is a project. Josh Allen. That's who they are thinking of. They're thinking he is going to not be good for 1 to 2 years. Not going to be good. But can he pull the Josh Allen and flip a switch and become elite? He's got the arm strength. He can escape. He can run. He can do everything you want in a quarterback. But can we coach him up enough to put him in a position to be similar to the Josh Allen? Josh Allen was horrid. Very bad. His rookie year, mediocre his second year, and then just took off in year 3. And I think that's their approach.
Yeah.
Could they have gotten him later, not giving up as much, as they did? I don't give a shit because they gave it to the Dolphins. So, I'm, glad they did. But go ahead.
No, you're good. I was going to move on. You can finish up.
Well, I was going to say Justin Fields. Matt Nagy doesn't do much right, but he did say that they were going to stick with Andy Dalton the entire year. I truly watching everything that happened, and I'm not taking it into consideration the damn beating by the Buccaneers. I'm sorry, Buccaneers. They're the Buccaneers. I mean, they should compete, but they're the Buccaneers. I think that, and Matt Nagy's a horrible coach. I keep saying that. I think that he didn't even have a fucking playbook for Justin Fields. I think he's just like, shit, Andy Dalton's hurt. Now I have to go to Justin Fields. We didn't practice this at all. Just fucking strap on our helmets.
Yeah.
He's winging.
I mean, right now Fields is sitting in here with a 57% completion percentage, 6 interceptions on 2 touchdowns. And obviously he had those 3 fumbles this week, lost 2 of them. The guy's got 8 turnovers to his name, only 2 touchdowns behind it. But let's always remember, there was this quarterback out there who had a pretty bad rookie season, and he's got a big forehead and is in the Hall of Fame with a huge bust. Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Can have a turnaround.
We don't have patience, John. We don't have
we
patience.
don't.
Nobody has fucking patience anymore.
I think if anything, this is going to lead to Nagy being gone.
Yeah, I hope so.
You've watched him ruin the career of Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky.
I wouldn't give him Nick Foles. I wouldn't give him. I personally wouldn't give him Nick Foles because Nick Foles was very mediocre and out of the league, and then had a 9-game stretch of
Nick Foles has a better resume for the Hall of Fame than Carson Wentz does.
Well, yeah. I mean, he won a Super Bowl. I wouldn't say he has a
against
better
Tom Brady.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say he has
Tom
a better
Brady for a
resume.
Super Bowl. They got Eli Manning in the Hall of Fame.
Eli Manning's not in the Hall of Fame yet. That's a question we got to
check back in 3 years.
Yeah. So, what were we talking about?
We're talking about how Matt Nagy ruined the careers of his quarterbacks and their career of Allen Robinson so far in the time that he's been there.
Yes. So I wouldn't say he is ruining his career now this year. Yes. Last year Allen Robinson was fine. He was fine. Matt Nagy and I think I think that Justin Fields is going to be a good quarterback moving forward and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to be with Matt Nagy. But I think Matt Nagy knew he's on the hot seat, but he's like, you know what? If I take a rookie quarterback, okay, and if I bring in Andy Dalton and I say all off season long that I am only going to start Andy Dalton the entire year and then start Justin Fields next year, that's going to buy me 2 more years. That's going to buy me 2 more years, and I might be able to keep my job. That's what I think he was thinking. And I know the GM, makes the decisions and things like that. But I guarantee that's where I think his head is, because Matt Nagy doesn't like to take the blame. And yeah, I mean, I think it was a selfish act. Not like like I said, the GMs make the final, say, but I guarantee it. Not that Justin Fields is a bad quarterback, but that's where I think his head was.
I think he's going to be a project as well. So I don't think that he's someone who needs to be written off yet.
No.
I honestly think that at this point, I feel the same way about him. And it's kind of weird and I was going to say, as I did about Jalen Hurts at the end of last season, and I guess that's not a fair comp because Jalen Hurts at least had some show at games at the end of last year. I would bet, not a lot of money, but some money, that even going up against that San Francisco defense, Justin Fields is going to have his best game so far of this year, because Matt Nagy is not going to be there. You don't think so?
Well, I know he's not.
I don't think so either. I'd have to agree with you completely.
I think he's gonna have his best game this year because Matt Nagy's not on the sideline.
Are you interested in grabbing any of the rookie quarterbacks if you're doing a dynasty league? If you don't have them on your team now, who would you be grabbing?
Mac Jones. Consistency. Don't think he's going to put up a ton of numbers.
Not just in my question. Sorry, I asked the question horribly here. Not just taking into account who's going to have the best career, take into account also the value that you're going to have to pay for them right now.
Yeah, Mac Jones.
Okay.
People still, he hasn't put up massive. He's coming off of his best, game, and that was against the Jets. So Mac Jones is somebody, because I think he's going to have a long career, and he might start off shaky, but he might pull a Tom Brady. Maybe not be the GOAT, but I think he can have that longevity, and eventually 3 to 5 years, throw the ball, 350, 400 yards a game, 3 to 5 touchdowns. I think the kid's good. Trevor Lawrence, I think he'll be good. He'll have his years. He's already doing special stuff. He's throwing the ball to the other team a lot too, but that's just mistakes. Those mistakes, in my opinion, can be coached out, film, blah, 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 blah. And then also I would trade for Justin Fields. I really would. I think he's going to have a good career. I just don't think it's going to be with this coach. And I think this is going to be the cheapest you can get him before he gets a new coach.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I think my number one pick would probably be Trevor Lawrence. That Patriots offense is always, Tom Brady had his great years and Brady had his mediocre fantasy years. He's always been a solid player when it comes to fantasy. But outside of the Randy Moss years, you're looking at quarterback, 15-ish every year. Solid. T-Law, though, I think can get you some big games, especially on that team where their defense isn't going to be anything special in the next 2 to 3 years. So they're going to be playing from behind. They're going to have to be moving the ball a lot. So I think he's going to be a high volume guy the next couple of years. My personal one out of the bad ones, quote unquote bad ones, I would still be targeting Trey Lance. I think that he's gotten a full game under his belt. He's obviously not going to be cheaper than Justin Fields, but I do think that he's someone that you're going to get a lot more fantasy value from, at least in the long run.
My only concern about Trey Lance right now is his value, because people still have those high expectations, so his price hasn't gone down, even though he played a bad game. It's his price hasn't gone down because there's hope and stuff like that. Justin Fields, on the other hand, has gotten in a handful of games, just looks bad. But I think that could turn around. Zach Wilson, I don't want to touch, and I might eat my words in a few years, but I have a strong feeling about this guy.
Let's talk about a rookie that people, me and you talked about this before the show, a rookie that people should possibly be targeting in dynasty leagues. Bringing it back to the fantasy aspects here, someone that's been showing out but isn't making waves yet. Me and you both agree. Tommy Tremble. Sell me.
Yes. So he's not making waves. He's only got 10 targets. But you can see it when he gets the ball in his hands. It's a touchdown. He's going for the end zone. He has a rushing touchdown this year. He makes things happen. He is a big, he's 6'4", 250, big target, fast, good player overall. You can see it. He passes the eye test when he has the ball in his hands. Tight ends take a little bit, but I do think Tommy Tremble and Pat Freiermuth, after we see Kittle and Kelsey and those guys go away, Waller, it's going to be Tommy Tremble and Pat Freiermuth are going to be the top dogs as far as tight end go. So Tommy Tremble is somebody I am buying up big time in dynasty leagues. If I didn't draft him, I drafted him in a few.
I think he's someone that you can be targeting, and if people aren't paying attention, and it's a dynasty league, especially if it's a casual family league or a friends league and stuff like that, he's someone I'm intending to throw on the end of my trades if I feel like I'm not getting enough value, and hoping that this person doesn't think they're worth that much, so they just let it go. Yeah. I think that there's chances you can get him for nearly free and more of just an add-on. I like him a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of upside in holding him. Especially as we see tight ends this year becoming more and more valuable as far as fantasy goes. So
yeah, he was literally, and I'm just pulling up one of my dynasty leagues. He was literally a 4th round pick. Throw the guy a 3rd rounder. You're not going to use that 3rd rounder. Maybe you have a couple. Even a back end 2nd. I would take that risk. Guy flips a 4th for a 2nd or a 3rd, I would take that risk for sure. Yeah. Real quick, if just because we talked about Deshaun, obviously, and I want to circle back real quick before we move on. Would you pick him up in a redraft league right now?
Only if you've got the bench spot. If you've got an empty, I was just setting my lineups before me and you started the show. If I had an empty bench spot in a couple leagues, I didn't go through through the waivers and see if he was available, but I'm obviously not hurting for it because I set my lineups with players and I'm happy. I definitely grab him in those 2 leagues where I had an empty spot. No reason not to, and he's also the first person you drop if you need to add someone else.
Exactly. I would 100%. I'm in the process of putting in a couple waivers on him. And look, he's only going to hold up on your bench until, waivers run again. We'll know by the time, two waivers. So you can hold him for 2 weeks. Unless you're absolutely desperate, I would pick him up because he could pay big time dividends. It could be the difference between you making the playoffs and you not.
And even if you grab him and he does get to a team, I'm honestly on board for trading him away instantly.
Trading away.
Because who knows if, like we were saying earlier, that exempt list gets signed right away and he's no longer available for you. So I would move on from him as soon as I got him, but I definitely think that the return is immense. Grab him in redraft leagues. And then Mike, you mentioned this in
my heart just skipped a beat. I opened Twitter and JPA Football posted report that Dolphins and Texans have agreed to terms on a trade for QB Deshaun Watson, but the Dolphins want clarity on his legal issues before going through with it.
It's almost like we're thinking with our heads.
Per the Houston Chronicle. I mean, we saw this before, but it scared me because I was like, oh shit, it happened.
So you mentioned this last week. I think it was either during the waivers or sometime, but Judy coming back from IR, another player you want to definitely check and see if he's available, because he's going to be someone that's going to return heavily for you and could be a league winner if he's getting picked up off of the waivers. So make sure you guys go and do that.
I did that. 14-team league.
I know.
But he dropped him.
I did not even look for him.
Him and Chase Claypool I picked up off the waivers in that league. Come on, baby. I'm making a run now. I'm making a run.
I got my first win in that league last week.
Let's go.
Christian McCaffrey owner, so I've been hurt with that running backs.
And Chris Carson. Right? You have him and Chris Carson or CEH?
No, I don't. I had Najee Harris, so this week I was starting I started Devonta Freeman, and Gio Bernard.
Shit, really?
Because in the 14-man league.
I could have swore you had.
Oh.
Damn. Yeah. Okay. Wow. I thought you had somebody else on IR, but.
No, just a bad team.
It's not even a bad. It's just an underperforming team. Darnell Mooney, underperforming. Brandon Ayuk. I have Brandon Ayuk and Allen Robinson in a league, and it's killing me. I am currently 4th in that league with the lowest amount of points scored in the league. I'm screwed. I'm screwed. And I have no tradable assets. So, anyways. All right. I think that's it. Do you want to talk about Jalen Hurts real quick and your expectations?
Yeah, let's run through it really quick. So we got Jalen Hurts in there because me and Mike were talking about it beforehand. Didn't want to jump into it before we got on camera. Just really quickly, I asked him if he thought Jalen Hurts was going to be a part of the Eagles next season, and he followed that up with he doesn't believe that Jalen Hurts, or he thinks it's a possibility that Jalen Hurts doesn't even finish the season there.
Oh no! I think he finishes the season there.
Oh,
I don't think he finishes this season as a starter there.
Fair.
Yeah, I think Gardner Minshew is gonna come in at some point. I mean, he's played very bad football.
He has. It's hard to tell if you only watch fantasy because of those rushing stats that he gets and the points he puts up in garbage time. But if you actually watch the games, yeah, he's been an absolutely terrible quarterback. So if you guys are in your fantasy leagues and people are trading him away and offering them to you, understand that it's not looking good over in Philadelphia for him. But again, so.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I wasn't drafting him. His I think his quarterback rating or whatever. In the fourth quarter, it jumps up to 75.1. Throughout the first, second, third quarter, it's around it starts at 35, then it goes to 45, then it goes to 50. Then up it jumps, when the going gets tough, I guess. But yeah, I'm off that Jalen Hurts hype. If you can trade him in a dynasty league, do so.
Yeah, absolutely. But alrighty then. I like these episodes. We should do a little bit more.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. So if you guys enjoyed these episodes types where we just start talking about something that both of us have on our mind, something that we're both wondering, or just some interesting things that are going on in the NFL, let us know what kind of things you want us to talk about. If you got a player you're interested in, just want us to not just do a fantasy breakdown, but how we feel about players or anything like that, message in the comments below, DM us on Twitter. Let us know what you guys think. Appreciate you all tuning in for today's episode. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and of course, join our Discord that's going to be linked down in the description below.
Let's do it. Let's get it. Thanks, guys. We really appreciate it. Also, go Braves. Game 1 is on. They are winning 5-0. So
nice.
Let's go.
Oh, one more thing that I almost forgot. Going to be quick about it. We are going to be doing a mid-season redraft. We are looking for 10 people to join us in a mock draft. What we're looking to do is just see halfway through the season how you should have drafted your teams and where you think you would have performed better from this point to finish out the season. I'm really interested to see, especially with all the injuries going on and everything else. We just think it'd be a great time. So if you guys are interested, hit us up on Twitter, hit us up in the Discord, wherever you can reach us, and get yourself a spot in that. We're going to be doing it next week. Don't know a date yet, but we'll set it when we got some people in line.
Yes, sir. That's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun. So, all right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We love you.